3, 2, 1. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, Gill, how's it going?
What is up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing really good, actually. Been a while since we've sat down and chit-chatted.
It's been a while. How long do you think it's been?
Oh,
Well, we can go
jeez.
back and actually get that information, but I don't think it's relevant, is it?
I don't think it's really that relevant, but
No.
it has been several months.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
at least
matter.
Since
But
the last time we really, shot the bull.
exactly. Shot the bull. Welcome back
Well, thank
Aaron.
you. It's good to be back. Thank you for having me.
from I Had to Say It podcast.
Yes, that would be I. I had to say it.
Before we jumped on, we were sharing a couple of stories about some equipment and some very positive, I think, very positive from just one creator to one creator, one podcaster to one podcaster.
I completely agree. It was a very positive thing.
That's just like I was saying before. Like we're gonna get into the story, but before hitting the record button, it's very selfless. I want to say, and just very unheard of in the climate and in the type of work that we're in because it's so competitive. I mean, it can be competitive.
Yeah, very much so. There's some very cutthroat individuals out there that, particularly for a lot of them that really take their podcast way too serious. Like, dude, you're not doing Rogan numbers. You're not doing Two Bears,
Yeah.
One Cave numbers. You have a couple hundred people that listen to your show every week. Calm down.
Yeah. But I mean, like I get your point. Like there's a time where you can make it serious, but I think it's just it's very, I don't know, like it's just there's situation by situation. But this situation, go ahead and lead with it because this is amazing. This blows my mind.
I completely agree. It blows my mind. Well, actually, I've kind of gotten, a kind of taken to the point where I'm used to it now, where I'm just like, this is, but I'm still periodically just like, this is so tits. So I
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to get this. There we go.
sounded good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so like a lot of the amateur / starting up podcasters, I started my show with a very minimal amount of equipment. I started out with a mic I got off of Amazon. Well, actually, my wife got it for me to like, you've been talking about this for like 5 years. Here's a mic. Happy birthday. And I started with that, and then just through scrounging and creative shopping, I've wound up getting a like entry-level mixer and a better mic and better headphones, and gradually upgrading my equipment. But like a lot of people, I've always wanted, one of the pinnacle pieces of equipment for doing this is a Rodecaster Pro. Not sponsored by, but I'm willing to negotiate. And but it's pretty pricey for somebody who's doing it as a hobby or amateur grade podcasting. And I had always wanted one, and then one day I got a message from someone else in the podcast community and saying, hey, we want to do a sticker swap. I need your address. And I was like, okay, well, here's my address. I'll send you guys some stickers too. Send me your address. So they sent me their address, and I'm just gonna put the names out there just in case you want to really check out some really cool, positive people, positive influence mindset, good people. It would be the Infectious Groove podcast with Russ, the host, and the Beard Owl podcast. Excuse me, sorry about that. With Lauren. Lauren was the one who told me we were doing a sticker swap, and I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. And so I send her my address, and then she sends me a message on Twitter a couple days later, like, "Oh, but yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't have as many stickers as I thought I did, but we're sending you something else. Just so be aware, something's coming in the mail." And I'm like, "Okay, well, no problem. I mean, no big deal. You didn't have to do that, but thank you." And I had no idea beyond that. So I'm thinking, like, for anyone that doesn't know, I have this massive. Well, it's bordering it for average people. It's a massive collection. I want it to be bigger, but I have a collection of podcast logo coffee mugs and stuff. So I was like, well, maybe it's a coffee mug for my collection. That'd be pretty sweet. And so I was coming home from work one day, and I usually call my wife when I'm on the drive home, just let her know I'm on my way home. And, you know, I always tease her and say it's like so she has enough time to get rid of the milkman before I get in the driveway. But realistically, it's more like I'm driving in Chicago traffic. I want her to know that I'm on the road just in case I don't make it home. You know, she'll at least know to look for me. And also, she doesn't appreciate the milkman jokes, ever. It's not the milkman, you son of a bitch. Yeah, I know. It's the Amazon guy, whatever.
The Amazon guy, the mail guy, UPS driver.
Yeah, but no, honestly, she's not that type, which makes it funnier to tease her about it. But yeah, so I'm call her up and I'm like, I'm on my way home, babe. What's going on? And she's, how was your day? And she's like, were you expecting a package from Florida? I'm like, yeah, I was. Probably a coffee cup or a beer mug or something, or a pint glass or something with, you know, show logo on it or something. And she's like, I don't think it's a mug or a cup. It's a pretty big box. And I was just like, okay, well, I'll open it up. The people that are in Florida that are sending me something, they're cool. I'm not worried about it. It's not going to be like a snake or anything. It'll be fine. I'm like, how heavy is it? She's like, well, it's not real heavy, but it's not real light either. It's just kind of there. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. Just leave it on the table, and I'll open it up when I get home. And so I get home and, you know, slice open the top of the box, and there's a bunch of packing material and a little note, personalized note. And it's like, you know, really appreciate what you do with the show. Love listening every week. Hopefully this will help you take it to the next level. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice. I wonder what's in here. And there's like a big thing wrapped in bubble wrap and a bunch of packing stuff. And so I slice open the bubble wrap, and then all of a sudden I start going, holy shit. Holy shit. And I was like literally gobsmacked and dumbfounded for a good solid 2 or 3 minutes where I just kept saying holy shit over and over again. And then my wife comes over and she's like, you know, what are you doing? What's wrong? Your brain is broken. Why are you just saying holy shit over and over again? I'm like, look in the box. And she's like, you know, okay, I see some buttons and some slidey things and some knobs. Okay, what? So? Somebody send you a sound effects thing or something? And I'm like, no, you know that piece of equipment I've been whining about? I really want it, but I can't justify the expense for the last, like, year and a half. She goes, yeah. I'm like, that's what this is. And so Russ from the Infectious Groove podcast had upgraded his equipment to a Rodecaster Pro 2 and decided to send me his Rodecaster 1 to use for my show. And, yeah, just completely random, unsolicited, random act of kindness because he likes what I was doing. And, like, their show is all about positivity. They don't, like, dump on records and just talk shit about people. They try and always find positive things.
And this is a music podcast, right, Eric?
And it's a music podcast. So even if there's a song they don't like, they still try and find something positive to say about it. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, at least it's not my favorite. They don't just sit around and bag on people. So that kind of mentality kind of carries over into their everyday actions, too, which is why I appreciate Russ. He's a hell of a guy. And that was the case before he sent me an awesome piece of equipment to make my show quality better, because he just felt like doing something nice for me because he was in a position where he could.
Yeah.
And, you know, the logical part of my brain's going, you know, he could have, you know, sold this on eBay or whatever. And
yeah, he could have sold it. I mean, there's
a lot of other things he could have done with it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny, too, when he and I talk on Twitter a lot, and when he posted, it was just a weird coincidence that day, because we were talking back and forth about something else. He's like, yeah, I'm having a pretty good day today, you know. Um, I just got confirmation that of something I sent to a friend of mine has just showed up. So I got, we sent somebody a surprise present, and it's going to be awesome, and blah 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 blah. And I had no idea he was talking about me, so I'm just like, oh, cool. I'm glad you're having a good day, man. That's fucking tits. I'm at work, and I'm sitting at my desk, and I should be doing other stuff, but I'm dicking around on Twitter because I'm on my coffee break, and because that's sometimes I need to take 5-10 minutes for mental health just to stop the other paperwork I'm working on and go, you know what?
Absolutely. I usually take like 8 hours of mental health break at work.
Well, I try to, but I do have to be somewhat productive because otherwise I feel bad.
No, dude, that's like it's really awesome.
Amazing. I don't know how else to put it.
It's amazing. It's awesome. It's just it's never heard of. I haven't heard anything like that, especially like I said before, in this line of hobby stuff. In this line of work, and I call it work because it is work.
Oh yeah,
it's to some it's our second job, even though the payoff may even not be in a form of currency, but there is a payoff when you get to see your ideas and your hard work and people like it. That's work.
Yeah, just the appreciation alone is just like
absolutely.
So that's actually what's been keeping me going. And I mean, I just hit 2 years at the end of last month. And
congratulations.
Well, thank you. I completely forgot until like a week after it actually happened, where I was like, I didn't do any kind of special announcement or anniversary episode or nothing. I just forgot. And,
but I mean, it's I don't know. Like for me, I didn't do any of that. Yeah, I didn't do any like anniversary stuff because it just, I mean, I don't know. Like it is a celebration. It is worth some recognition. But I mean, if you're just worried about just putting out your content like you do, then, an anniversary doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I could see where that's one way to look at it.
Right.
I mean, like I said, it obviously mattered so much to me that I forgot about it until 3 weeks after it was already passed. So
absolutely,
I'm like, yeah. I mean, wow, the show's 2 years old. I've been doing this for 2 friggin' years.
How did you find out that it was 2 years old? Did you seen like an old post or something like that?
Yeah, it was one of those like Facebook, on this date, blah blah blah, and I was like, holy shit, oops.
Gotcha. Yeah. The Mindbuzz birthday is August 1st.
Yeah, see, I had to say it is the 31st of August. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you probably started a year after I did. 2021, right?
Yes. No, wait. No, 2020.
2020. So it's been 3 years or 2 years?
2 years.
Oh.
It's 2022 right now, Gill.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's been 2 years.
So it's 2 years. Okay, so I've been doing this for 2 years then. I've been telling everybody I've been doing it for 3.
Yeah, fuck it.
Right, whatever. It feels like it's been 3 years maybe. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Well, I think because when I started this one, I was laid off and I had a whole lot of spare time and had a lot to say and nobody to talk to. It was
there you go.
So I said I might as well scream into the void. Why not? And
someone's gonna listen. Somebody's gonna listen. Yeah. Absolutely.
And like I said, I mean, there's been some growth. There's been some backsliding. I mean, I noticed a lot of people in the last few months have been saying they've been, losing listeners and blah, blah, blah.
And why do you think that is? Is it just podcast to podcast, or is it just a general drop in
just kind
listenership?
Of a general drop from what I understand. I think some of it, like a lot of the shows that mentioned it to them where I was talking to them are all like Anchor hosted, and I think Anchor changed how they monitor their metrics. So I think that might be part of it, because that was like at the start of the year, and literally 80% of the shows I talked to were like, "Oh yeah, dude, my numbers are like half of what they were 3 weeks ago."
Really?
And mine were the same way. It was like I went from doing like a couple hundred streams a week to like 50.
That is so weird.
Yeah, it was very. And it, there's things where, like I said, I mean, you kind of get what you pay for, and Anchor's a free service, so. I am working on, once I get some things straightened out, I'm actually probably gonna be switching hosts to a paid host, just for some of the more improved analytics and things like that.
Podbean. I heard Podbean is good. Buzzsprout. I use Buzzsprout for mine. Buzzsprout is really good. I was
actually leaning towards Buzzsprout too. So
yeah, you get what you paid for. Definitely. I mean, I know I do. Right now I have the premium for 12 hours, and I still exceed that for 30 days.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I still listen when the new episodes come out, so yeah. I completely believe that you exceed your 12 hours.
I do, and I still have like a couple of more shows to do in the 30 days, and I think I have like a minute left of my original subscription for 30
days.
You
decide to talk to me, and we don't have a conversation that's less than 2 hours ever.
Yeah, so
I mean, we planned for 30 minutes and we talked for 2 hours. I mean,
I think I need to book you like at the beginning of my 30 days just to get that out of the way, so I don't have to pay the extra for the extra.
Let's see how much
hours.
Of him we're gonna burn through first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, if you keep giving stories like the chef knife ass story, the ass stabbing story, I mean, come on.
Fortunately, I haven't stabbed anybody else since then, so it's like
that's good.
It's only one story.
That's good.
I mean, I've done plenty of other dumb shit, but that's neither here nor there. It's just life in the big city, I guess.
Chicago, huh?
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, I still live out in the suburbs, but I'm working. Technically, I'm not in Chicago, but I'm close enough where it's spitting distance. So.
Oh, okay.
It's like
people were asking me about the like who I'm gonna.
I can't mute this, so I gotta shut
it's
up.
All good.
They put me on a friggin' don't get old. It sucks. They put me on a glucose monitor.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things about it is it's the way it's set up. It's paired with my phone to record my blood sugar throughout the course of the day.
Technology.
But occasionally it loses a signal and it starts beeping, and there's no way to mute the alarm. It's one of the rules of the software.
Now, is it beeping because it's losing connection, or your blood pressure or your blood glucose level is spiking or something?
No, it's beeping because it lost connection.
Okay.
There's actually different alarms.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is there different sounds for different type of alerts?
Yeah, the signal loss alert is kind of, it's just like a high pitched, just beep, 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 beep.
Oh, God.
And I didn't, like if I ignore it, it actually gets louder as you ignore it.
Oh, God.
So you will repair it. And it's really not hard. All you got to do is touch your phone to the sensor and it repairs. But like the blood glucose level alarm is like loud as hell. And it's like just this piercing tone, because the first one they gave me actually like fell off, and the injection didn't take. But before it came loose, it started sending that I was having basically I would, if the information it was sending to my phone was right, I would have been in a fucking coma.
Oh, wow.
Because it said my blood glucose level was like 6.
Is that bad? I don't know. Is that
well
bad?
Average blood glucose for a healthy person who has been fasting for 8 hours is like in the 80s.
Okay.
So 6 is there's literally no sugar in your bloodstream.
Oh wow.
So your body has nothing to burn for energy, and you should be in a coma at that point. So, but that's the only time I've ever had a blood glucose emergency alarm, and I may have pooped a little. I mean, it scared the shit out of me because I was totally not expecting it.
Are you able to change the sound alerts on it?
Nope.
I would change mine.
It's all locked into the software that you can't mess with any of it.
I would change it to like a song.
Change it like, bitch, you gonna die.
Yeah. Or, honey, dun 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 dun. Sugar, sugar, dun 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 dun. Please don't die on me.
I think they want to avoid having you vibing in the case of a medical emergency.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's just me. I want to vibe all the time.
Oh yeah, no, I would prefer to, but apparently my doctor would rather keep me alive. So
yeah, no, that's always good. We need you alive. We need you alive to keep doing the podcast, dude.
Well, that too, yeah. Well, I've already got everything all laid out, and I've got my like little living will set up. Like if anything happens to me, this shit gets mailed to this person, this shit gets mailed to that person, along with a note saying I want my shit to be used. Carry on the good fight. Make sure you offend some people.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's very important. If I send you, if I die and one of my next of kin mails you something, then it comes from me. You have to offend someone. That's the rule.
That's the rule. You have to follow the rules. And speaking of offending people, what was your last show about?
My last show was actually about a upcoming law that is going to be going into effect January 1st in the state of Illinois.
Please do share. Please do share. Oh, in Illinois. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a national thing. This was very much a localized. However, I think it's incredibly important that everyone pays attention because it's going to be a shit show. The whole reason the bill was actually signed by the governor January 17th of 2021. It had a 2-year delay before it went into effect. And the whole point of this bill, they're trying to say that when they were pushing it, the primary sponsors of the bill were very much kind of BLM aligned, and they're saying it was all about addressing racial inequity and a bunch of other shit. This is for the brown people and the black people and blah, blah, blah. It's not fair.
So that's their initial thought before. Okay.
Well, I'm trying to give I actually wanted to be well educated on this particular episode. I didn't want to just be talking out of my ass based on memes and other people's video clips. So I did a lot of research, for me at least, as opposed to just being angry about something. I actually dug into it so I wouldn't be speaking out of turn, as it were. I wanted to make sure I was actually upset for the right reasons. And the more I looked into it, the angrier I got because what they did is there's been a couple of memes floating around about it in the last couple of weeks. And the bill it's going to be going into effect effectively gets rid of cash bonds for everything that is under murder 1. I mean, there's a few exceptions. It's first degree homicide, first degree intentional homicide, sexual assault, violent rape, which I don't know how you can have a rape that's not violent.
Okay. And
I'm sorry, by the way, trigger warning for anybody that's might be sensitive about this shit. I'm going to talk about a lot of really horrible things in the next 5 minutes.
Absolutely. That's why people tune in when they listen to the Mindbuzz, or when they're listening to guests that I have, like Ranting with Ramos or Whiskey J, or even now Aaron. I had to say it, but he's no stranger to the show. Now, a cash bond and I had to Google this. A cash bond that if you don't know, like me, I don't know, and I like to learn stuff on this podcast. A cash bond is a cash amount paid to the judicial system to bail someone out of jail. If the person does not show up for court when required, the system may keep the cash. The benefit of the cash bond is that it is a direct, generally fast way of bailing somebody out. There we go.
Yep.
Okay.
And the proponents of this bill that was signed into law in Illinois here were saying cash bond is unfair because it's discriminatory towards black and brown people because they can't post their bonds, which is incredibly fucking stupid because I know plenty of white people that can't post bond either.
Right.
So it's making a racial issue out of something that's not a racial issue.
Yeah,
It's a
and to go
rich
further,
versus poor issue, not a black versus white issue.
yes, and that's putting a racial profile on somebody's ability to somebody's what would you call it? Like somebody's
ability to get the funds to get out of
absolutely
whatever they're in for.
Right.
And it's kind of racist to say, well, black people and brown people can't get this money. Well, you're saying that they can't do something based on the color of their skin. That's kind of racist. And it was some like ultra left, super woke people from Chicago that proposed this bill. And I don't know why anyone would think it's a good idea to take any kind of cues from Chicago because they have, one of the worst violent crime rates in the country.
I'm curious to know there has to be a word for it, for a group's for like a racial group's ability to make money. Like where's the ratio for that? Like I get it, maybe
like if a fiscal inequity ratio, or
sure, that sounds like it's that, but that's like saying that majority of people in Illinois that I guess the poor people in Illinois are black and brown. Which is that the case? Because I can see if they're saying they're making that judgment, then it could possibly be led to that, right?
It's actually that's a complicated subject, Gill. It really is, because it depends on where you're looking. Just like anywhere else in the country, I mean, it's not any more so in Illinois than it is anywhere else in the country based on population percentages.
Right.
The vast majority but if you look in like the major metropolitan centers of Illinois, which there's only a couple, and it's also the extremely deep blue parts of the state capital in Springfield and Chicago are extremely blue and disproportionately populated. I mean, extremely dense populations and disproportionately to the rest of the state full of broke motherfuckers.
Right.
There's a lot of really bad neighborhoods in Chicago. There's some really bad neighborhoods in Springfield. There's economic depression. It's all the negative stereotypical horseshit that goes along with having an extremely dense population of broke motherfuckers in one area. Now, you get outside those major metropolitan areas, and there's still plenty of broke motherfuckers, but the population dynamic changes. It's more, urban or, country, just like farmers and shit. And they also actually kind of match the same average, though, for percentages of population. Yeah, there's a lot of, white rednecks out there, but there's a lot of non-white rednecks out there, too.
Yeah.
And once you get outside these densely populated urban areas, the stance on pretty much every issue swings in, like, the complete opposite direction. There's not... If you removed Springfield and Chicago from the state of Illinois, this would be a red state, based on the last set of numbers I looked at.
So Springfield and what else? What other city?
And Chicago.
And Chicago.
Yeah, those are the two major metropolitan areas that basically offset the population of the rest of the state.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and and it is what it is. But like I
And
said,
those are majority of those areas are left-leaning cities.
yeah. I mean, a lot of the like I hate the fact that it's left or right. Like me, I'm very much centrist. I'm very practical
Right.
in
I
what makes
I'm
sense and what
that's
doesn't
why we
shit on
have
other people's cornflakes.
yeah, that's why we have good conversations, because I like to believe that I am somewhere in the middle like that as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes.
basically, you do you, I'll do me, and everybody's happy, right?
Absolutely. So, do you know what this legislation is called? So
Yeah,
I
I
kind of
do.
want to.
It's called the SAFE T Safety Act, which now, like I said, the thing about it is it gets rid of cash bail for all these crimes under for like first degree murder, violent rape, and a couple other things.
Gotcha.
Which means like second degree manslaughter, no bail. Second degree homicide, which is it has to do with intent, is the difference between homicide and manslaughter. Still no bail theoretically. So you could, and what they will do is pick you up, book you, take you down to jail, fill out your paperwork, and basically make you promise you're going to come to your court date, and then you're back on the street. So the problem where this comes in is, say you go and you pick up somebody for assault, right? The cops come, somebody calls because your neighbor's beating the piss out of his wife, domestic battery. The cops come, they take him away, they take him to jail, fill out his information, give him his court date, and I think they have to get a warrant issued to have them brought back in and held. They have 48 hours to provide significant evidence to prove this person is worthy of being held in jail. And so basically this guy, as soon as he gets done filling out his paperwork, he can leave, and then they have 48 hours to try and build a case against him. In the meantime, there's literally nothing stopping him from going back to his house and killing his wife for, finishing what he started and then skipping town. Now, subsequently, another provision of this act makes it where, say you don't go to your court date, you got booked on beating the piss out of somebody in a bar fight, and so that's first degree assault, or assault with without a deadly weapon, assault with malice. There's a lot of different classifications for assault. So they give you your court date, and your court date comes, and you pull a no-show. You're just not there. Now, under the current system, if you don't show up for your court date and you're on a bond, you forfeit the bond, but they also issue a warrant for your arrest. Under the new proposition, they don't issue a warrant for you the first time you miss your court date. They send you a summons saying, hey, you missed your court date, you need to come in. And if you miss the second court date, then after that, they have the right to issue a warrant. So you have to skip court twice before they will even start to look for you. And it gets a little more, like I said, it's a lot more involved than that. A lot of the people that were doing, like I said, all people posting these memes online and shit, it kind of oversimplifies a lot of it, but it's all there. And the thing is, I went down kind of a rabbit hole when I started looking into this for the episode. The bill itself is 764 pages long. Like, I pulled up the actual bill off of the State of Illinois' website.
Did you read it all on the podcast?
No, I read it before the podcast.
Okay.
That's what started pissing me off, is when I started reading it, because, okay, granted, I'm not a lawyer. I'm self-taught in terms of legal terms and things like that. I had to Google a lot of shit to try and make sense out of it. And with my minimal understanding of legalese and everything else, there were sections of this bill that contradicted other sections of the bill. There was a whole lot of stuff in there that's way, way, way open to. It's a very poorly written piece of legislation, particularly one that has been signed into law and goes into effect in 3 months.
So it got passed.
It's already been passed and signed into law by the governor. So Now they were talking about, oh well, we had to get it passed and it's important, but we have time to fix it now. Now that it's passed, they've made a few amendments. A lot of stuff where the police were sticking on, like this is not clear enough for it to be enforceable.
Got it. Pass the law and then
pass the law and then
try to
and then
fix it after.
It.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But the problem is they didn't fix it. The only stuff
like
they
that.
fixed was the things the police departments were saying, you can't do this to us because this doesn't work. It's not clear enough. And that stuff. Most of it has to do with training and like outline for when they have to have their body cams turned on, which is basically like your entire shift.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the car and your car has in-car cameras, or you're in the head. Basically, those are the only times you're allowed to not have your camera turned on if you're on duty. And most of the police unions are fine with that. They're like, okay, that's reasonable. And,
I searched for sorry to cut you off. I searched
no problem.
The Safety Act on TikTok just to see if I can get an idea of the memes that you're talking about, and I came across one video. The caption of the video is called "The Reality of the Safety Act," which Republicans are calling the Purge Law. Stop spreading lies. Save hashtag SafeAct. Hashtag SafeAct. Illinois. Hashtag Purge Law. Did you come up on any of that Purge Law? Why they would be calling it that?
A lot of people, including mayors and police chiefs, are saying that that's more or less what's going to happen, because they're not going to be able to detain violent criminals anymore, and they have to basically give them a 48-hour head start before they can throw them back in jail.
And maybe you cover this, but what's the reasoning behind them not wanting to detain?
Oh, it's not that they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
The politicians, like I said, they pushed this on a "it's not fair to brown people" platform.
Got it.
The guy who was the primary sponsor of the bill, that was his entire platform, is this isn't fair because white people can post bail without any problems, which is, if anybody knows any dirty-ass white people that get in trouble on a regular basis, no, they can't post bail on a regular basis. I promise you that. I got plenty of friends that are locked up because they did something stupid and couldn't post bail. Well, maybe not anymore. Now they're locked up because they were in for a while.
Okay,
they doubled down on their criminal cases.
Gotcha. I just want to make sure that I'm getting all this information correct.
Yeah,
so I can paint the
and
picture.
That's the thing. I try to be fair about it. So I watched information saying that, oh, don't believe this, don't buy the hype. And I got into it on like Reddit with a few people that were trying to defend this bill. Like, oh, you guys are it's just because you're a bunch of MAGA, you're overreacting, you're Trumpicans. And I'm like, first off, I didn't like the Cheeto either, so fuck you. Mm-hmm. Second off, no, I'm not overreacting. Are you in Illinois even? Do you have a right to be voicing your fucking opinion about this? Because is it going to impact you? It's like all the sanctuary cities that are nowhere near a border that seem to think they're doing something just and great, and then as soon as somebody starts shipping them people crossing the border, they start, oh, no, you can't do that. You said you're a sanctuary city. That's what sanctuary means. All are welcome. You said so in a press conference. Don't backpedal now. Make these people, they've been through some shit. Help them out. I'm all for, that's a whole different thing. But so my point is, if you're not going to actually be involved in the process, you need to just keep your fucking mouth shut.
Okay, so scenario. All right, so you brought up a male, whatever. Doesn't matter what color he is. He comes home, beats the shit out of his wife, and he gets arrested, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have sufficient evidence to detain him. They let him go, or what?
No,
run it through me, because I need a scenario in my head, so that way I can paint a picture on this
scenario. And again, it depends on severity of everything, and whether or not she's willing to testify against him and a bunch of other shit.
Let's do worst case scenario in this hypothetical.
Well, worst case scenario, she comes crawling out bleeding and bloodied.
Okay.
Now there's that's pretty solid evidence, and he's got blood running down his hands when they show up. I mean, there's no plausible way he can deny he was involved in that.
Okay.
Then they can actually hold him because he poses a clear and significant danger to an individual.
Okay.
So they can say, look, we caught him beating the shit out of his wife.
So when they do have sufficient evidence, they can detain him because of that.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems with the way this bill is worded. Sufficient evidence is extremely subjective.
Absolutely.
So, all it takes is one, prosecutor or one defense lawyer who says, can work that little bit of reasonable doubt in there and say, well, look, you have no right to be holding my client, and they let him go because they can no longer demand that they post bond. They just got to let him go. Now, like I said, it's a little less problematic in that scenario because there is an individual who's obviously in danger from this person.
Okay, so run me through a problematic scenario.
Problematic scenario.
Yeah.
There's, 3 gangbangers going out. They decide to shoot up a corner somewhere, right? It's not unreasonable. It happens in Chicago every fucking weekend. So 3 guys in a car go out, just randomly spray up a corner. They see some rival gangs tag on the wall, and they decide to shoot the shit out of that tag. Now these three guys have committed multiple crimes, multiple felonies at this point, because they are in illegal possession of a weapon. They have illegally discharged said weapon. They could have, if they accidentally shot somebody on the other side of that wall without actually intentionally shooting them, these guys get nabbed by the cops 3 blocks away. They're in the matching vehicle, fits the description. They have the guns in the car. There are empty casings all over in the car, right? Plenty of evidence to start a case against them. These 3 guys are taken down to the appropriate jail for whatever neighborhood it's in. They are booked on assault, illegal possession of a firearm, illegal discharge of a weapon. Somebody got hurt in the crossfire, so inflicting bodily harm. Assuming the person lived. Assault with a deadly weapon, and they're handed a piece of paper with a court date on it, and booked and released. Because they can't prove there was actually a specific person who was in jeopardy because of their actions. It was random actions, randomly performed, that accidentally caused somebody to get shot because they were doing a bunch of illegal shit, none of which poses a direct and specific threat towards an individual. So, and now a lot of people are saying, well, that's obviously a threat towards people, but the way the problem isn't the intent. The problem is the way the bill is worded. And any decent lawyer that's willing to be a shithead for money is going to work that wording and just get these guys out case after case after case after case.
Which is 90% of lawyers in the judicial system.
Yeah, so yes, there are valid inequities. And, personally, I don't think you should have to post bond if you're doing some stupid, victimless, petty bullshit. I think you should be able to sign out an I-bond if you, get picked up for something simple and stupid where you're only a threat to yourself. Yeah, sure. Okay, here you go. Yeah, I'm done. I'll see you at court. And I do believe the system needs to be reformed. However, this is a massive overreach in the opposite direction. It's like, oh, we need to make a big gesture. And that's why a lot of these, like I said, police chiefs and mayors are saying this is going to basically turn this shit into the purge because it's catch and release on criminals. It doesn't do anything to benefit the victim. It basically takes a big dump on the victim's rights, and in the interest of protecting the rights of the accused because they're innocent until proven guilty. And basically what it's saying is they don't need any incentive to show up for court, so they don't have to post the money because they're going to show up because it's the right thing to do.
And they're taking out cash bonds.
Yeah,
so what was the situation before this law was passed? Well, how did that scenario go?
As of right now, you get picked up for assaulting your neighbor.
Okay.
You get taken in, you get booked, you get arrested, you get thrown in jail.
Let's use the scenario with gangbangers and
with the gangbangers?
Random active.
Okay.
Yeah.
So say they get picked up and it's a weekday.
Okay.
They will spend the night in holding. The next morning, they will be taken down to the courthouse, taken in front of a judge. the list of charges will be read to the judge. The judge will assess the individuals based on past record, information that can be presented. They have a criminal history. Do they not have a criminal history? Have they been in trouble before? This is their first time in court. Were they the one pulling the trigger? Were they just sitting in the passenger seat and they didn't know what the fuck was going on? All that stuff is taken into account. And then the judge will say, based on the severity of your crimes, if you want to be released back prior to your official hearing, you have to post your bail set at $50,000. Now, people hear that and they automatically start freaking out, well, where's some hood motherfucker going to get $50,000? And the thing is, for cash bond, you only have to post 10% of the total amount to the court before the case. So you get $50,000 bail, you got to come up with $5,000. And yeah, for the average person, that's not something you can just blink and do. But there's literally nothing stopping your family from going out and crowdfunding or starting a GoFundMe or, having a bake sale to get that money out to get you before your court date. Because your court date could be 6 months down the line. And they need some sort of incentive to say you're going to come back. So if you got your family and your friends that put this money up, they're probably not going to let you skip town before the court hearing because then they lose the money. Because if you show up and everything goes cool and you're found innocent, the money's returned. That's like bail bondsmen, like they have like Dog the Bounty Hunter and all those guys that collect bail bonds. That's how that works. That's how bail bondsmen work. They front the money to the person, and if the person doesn't show for court, and a warrant is issued, and they can go grab that person and take them back to jail and get the bail and get the bond back. So that's how that business works. That's why that business exists. And like I said, my biggest problem with this bill isn't like we need to redress the legal system, because we do. It's, like I said, it's very poorly worded. It contradicts itself a lot. And a lot of the people that are trying to defend it, they haven't read the fucking bill either. That's the thing that really started making me mad was, yeah, okay, we got a lot of people saying this is going to be a nightmare, and people are trying to say it's fear-mongering because of who's saying it's going to be a nightmare, but the people that are saying it's going to be a nightmare are in a much better position than your average keyboard warrior who's just going, you're just saying that because you're a Republican. Like I said, I don't identify as a Republican, not even close, and I still think this bill's a bad fucking idea because it's poorly written, it's poorly constructed, and it's very short-sighted. Another thing that's going to happen is, in a lot of cases, people that are currently sitting in jail based on the fact that they haven't posted bond yet for their hearings are all going to be released. In one jail alone is going to be releasing 400 prisoners.
So that's why
January 1st.
Okay, so that's why they're calling it the purge law.
Yeah, some of these guys have been in jail 2-3 months, and jail's not a fun place. It's a lot of these guys are in there on stupid smaller case crimes that have probably upgraded their level of criminal from low levels dope boy guy to they had to shank somebody to fucking not become somebody's property.
Yeah.
So they're a different degree of criminal when they come out, even though they've only been in for a few months.
Do you know the crime threshold of the people that they're like, what type of crimes it is, or is it just like a time frame threshold that they're releasing
no, it's
people out?
It's anything that under the new law will qualify as a non-bondable offense.
Non-bondable offense.
Yeah, that's where the sticking point for this comes in. Is it's bondable versus non-bondable offenses. Right now, any violent offense is considered a bondable offense until the end of the year. Arson, forcible assault without a weapon, stalking, terrorizing, threatening. On the upside, you can no longer be held for bond if you threaten politicians. So,
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, every cloud has a silver lining if you look hard enough. But then there's, and like I said, that's all the really big talking points that all the that's the panic-inducing shit that everybody's focusing on right now. And I bear no illusions about why they're doing it and why the timing on it is. I mean, the thing's been signed for a year and a half. They started bringing it up at the tail end of August because we're going into an election cycle, and pretty much every seat in the Illinois House is up for re-election.
So to bring it home, I went on Google and I put cash bail in California. And one of the questions that was posed on Google is the cash bail legal in California? The California Supreme Court has eliminated cash bail for defendants who can't afford it, writing that conditioning freedom solely on whether an arrestee can afford bail is unconstitutional. Ari Shapiro, host. In California, the state Supreme Court has ruled to end cash bail if a defendant can't afford to pay. That makes 0 sense. Right? So they're saying, if I'm getting this right, if you can afford it, right.
Which is it's another kind of shife interpretation of things.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, those are the big attention getters, though, is the cash bail thing, and the people that are trying to defend the bill are pushing the additional training for the cops and the extra equipment for the cops and extra oversight for the cops. That's the big thing the proponents are pushing. Like, oh no, this is about police oversight and fairness and da-da-da-da. The thing that got me all pissed off and bent out of shape is
that's what I want to hear. I want to. That's the meat and potatoes of this conversation.
I'm sorry, I'm droning on about this, but it is like I said. The more I looked into it, the madder I got.
Right.
There is a big section of this bill that changes things that police cannot even arrest someone for. You cannot be detained for anymore. They're now citation offenses once this bill goes into effect. Like, say for example, you come home from a hard day at work, your front door's busted in, and you go inside and there's a couple of meth heads fucking on your couch. Under normal circumstances, you call the cops and you say, hey, some asshole's broke into my house and there's a meth head fucking his girlfriend on my couch. And the cops come and they arrest them and take them out of your house, right? As of January 1st in the state of Illinois, that is no longer a detainable offense at all. That is a citation offense. Trespassing is no longer enforceable by the police department as of January 1st. So,
wow.
Yeah, you come home and there's a couple of tweakers in your house that have decided they live there now. You can call the cops. The cops are going to give them a ticket that they're not going to fucking pay. And when they don't pay it, they'll be given a court date that they won't go to. And then they will be given a second court date that they don't go to. And then a warrant can be issued for their arrest. So you're looking at like 3 months of processing while you have tweakers in your living room. And it's not like you can just pack your shit and leave because they're going to say, oh, no, this is our shit now. You go away because you're a nice little law-abiding citizen and we're meth heads and we don't fucking care.
Aaron, that scenario made more sense to me than the gangbanger scenario that we were talking about earlier. I don't know why the meth head story stuck with me. And
the meth head is much more likely to happen to, Joe Q Public. The gangbanger thing is very specific to like downtown.
Okay.
Well, not downtown Chicago, but like certain neighborhoods in Chicago. And
okay.
But that's also that's the more extreme case that a lot of people are talking about. Like, oh, this is going to be like the purge. They're not even talking about the little simple everyday shit that's going to fuck up everybody's day-to-day lives because they're trying to make it big and scary instead of pointing out the part that's actually going to fuck everybody's shit up. Because, like, and let's say the tweakers aren't in your house. They decided to set up a tent in your backyard, which in Illinois, this is going to be a thing, apparently. I know you guys in California don't have, like, the same trespassing laws that we do, where, like, people are allowed to just set up camp. And I don't know about all of California. I just know what I've seen on the news.
Oh, like you can just set up camp practically. If it's not a private property, you can set up camp, and the police, inner city police, cannot fuck with you. Like it's pretty much against the law for them to fuck with you. The law is there to protect the homeless.
Yeah, and on public property, that's a different story.
Absolutely.
But like I said, I'm talking about like, say, like I have a big shed in my backyard, right? It's and it has electricity and water and heat, and because we used to use it for dog grooming, right? Now, say I get some random homeless guy that decides he wants to live in my shed now because it's a really nice shed. So he
Okay.
comes in and he sets up shop in my shed and decides that's his home now and he lives there. And I say, get the hell out of my yard. This is private property. You came through a gate and a fence to get into my yard, to get into my shed. So you could, and I'm not a dick. If he was just like, I just want to brush my teeth, I'd be like, go for broke, bro. But no, you're not just going to tell me you live there now because this is my house. And so I call the cops and they come in. Same scenario. They hand him a ticket and they cannot remove him from the property. It's illegal for them to remove him from the property. He's your problem now. And that is literally how it's worded. That person removing them from your property becomes your problem. And what you do in the terms of how you get them off your property, you have to gauge that based on what you're willing to do and whether or not it is legal. So you cannot assault an individual who's trespassing on your property to remove them from your property, because then you will be violating the law and you'll get a ticket. And, well, no, you'll be taken down, booked, and then given a court date and then released. Because you assaulted the guy. You're not just trespassing in somebody else's yard. You assaulted a guy who's trespassing on your property. Now you are liable for assaulting him. So now I may be investing in a half a dozen pigs. So I'm just, I'm more of a pragmatist. I'm not going to bother calling the cops if all it's going to do is leave a paper trail saying there was some fucking meth head in my shed. So I'm kidding. I'm joking. FBI guys, these are jokes. It's called humor.
They're definitely listening in.
Oh, I'm sure I'm on a fucking watch list by this point.
You also had an episode out that that was cleverly named this pod. If you listen to this podcast, you are now on like the FBI watch list or some. It was along the lines of that.
If you listen to this episode, you will be on a watch list.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
That was after they released their guidelines for what qualifies people to be listed as domestic terrorists, and I can't say I was surprised because I haven't trusted the federal government for a long time. I mean, I've never went into like the full-on conspiracy theory tinfoil hat. Got to move out to the middle of nowhere and get my guns, and because the Fed boys is coming. I was never that severe about things, but most of the things that are on that list as potential flags for being a domestic terrorist, yeah, I've done them because it's just anything up to and including bitching about the government. It's
Is
like
it really?
they're saying we're not even allowed to, complain about things anymore. We're not allowed to say we don't trust the FBI because that's signs of being a domestic terrorist. I don't trust the FBI because they've proven to be untrustworthy. I don't trust the ATF because I don't want anybody shooting my dog or my wife over the length of a shotgun barrel. These agencies are not like some superhuman, divine guided things. They're run by men and they're fallible, and they are not above critique or reproach. However, they issued a statement basically saying if you critique or reproach them, you are going to be labeled a domestic terrorist. So, yeah, and by saying that, and by you listening to me saying that, you are now all domestic terrorists. So, sorry, Mindbuzz audience, you guys are all fucked.
So, but what's their reason for, like, okay, so you don't agree with what we are saying, right? But why would they make it so severe if we don't?
Self-preservation. Honestly, that's what it comes down to. There is a growing...
if you get exactly, you're probably gonna go the same route as this. If there are enough people within a group to know or to understand that it is a social contract for society to uphold laws and to follow laws, that it's just something that is make believe, And if enough people believe that, then it holds some truth or it holds some value. But if you drop that value, then none of that shit really matters. If you get enough people, if you get enough people to if you get enough people not to follow one certain rule and a hell of a lot of people, then majority rules, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly because the current mindset of a lot of the population and is growing in support directly opposes their existence. So the only way they can maintain that existence is by trying to suppress the people who think they're doing all these horrible things. Now, the problem with that is the FBI, the CIA, all the three-letter agencies, basically. The problem is their mindsets are very much rooted in bureaucracy, which kind of negates critical thinking in certain ways, because instead of going, by doing all the shit these people are saying we're doing to them, which is why they don't think we should exist, instead of going, yeah, let's prove to them that that's not what we're about, they're just doubling down on it by releasing a list of things that make people domestic terrorists. That is what every person who says you shouldn't exist is doing. You're just kind of reinforcing, like, hey, they're right. They said that this is what we're going to do, and now we're doing it. Yeah. And they don't see the irony or appreciate the fact that they're actually driving more people into that mindset. So, what can you do?
Maybe they do.
See, that's going into the territory more of like they're pushing for a war, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole. I mean, I'm usually not. I'm not real big on pushing conspiracy theories. I prefer to push people to do their own. Like, I hate people that are like, well, do your own homework, but that's the only way. Like, I've said it before. I think where it's like, I don't know. I'm getting old. I can't remember shit. But like, your mind is a muscle, just like anything else. If you don't work it, you don't flex it, you don't train it, it's not going to be a peak performing thing. Just like I look like fucking Jabba the Hutt because I'm not going out running 10 miles a day, flexing, lifting weights, and fucking doing 150 sit-ups before breakfast. So I know what I look like, but I use my mind all the time because that's always been one of my better features. So I try and convince people, just think critically. I don't care if you believe the same shit as I do. You don't have to. I don't expect people to believe what I do. I do expect people to actually engage in a thought process that is more than just, well, so-and-so says this, so it has to be true.
Right.
I'm very much, question everything, because there's always an agenda. There's always somebody out there whose beliefs are not necessarily what they're presenting, because if they told you what they were actually up to, you wouldn't fucking let them do it.
How often do you break apart your current beliefs?
Oh, pretty regularly, actually. This is the shit I think about when I'm sitting around, like, in downtime. If I'm stuck in traffic, I'm usually working scenarios in my head based on whatever I've been through in the last few days, whatever I've been reading, whatever I've been watching. I've been spending way too much time on social media, so I've been unplugging from that the last couple of weeks. Been kind of remiss, I haven't been like doing all the retweeting and liking and shit for all the other podcast shows I usually have been supporting. But Daddy needed a break. God damn it!
Yeah,
Stuff was getting toxic, and I could feel it creeping into my brain.
Toxic, yes, and it just becomes a lot. Like, if you're a content creator, if you do anything in the media, media arts, mixed media arts, I guess you can say,
anything
it gets tiring.
Really.
Yeah, anything creative, really, it gets tiring. Yes. It gets tiring because you're also working on your stuff, right? But to also consume different media arts is just it gets exhausting.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I mean, for as much as I'm very much like a staunchly, I believe in independence, I believe in responsibility, I believe in everything, I like to be supportive too. I like to support other people that I think are doing something worth supporting. So part of me is just like, God, I got to do all of this because that's what they need from me. And I wasn't getting the time to, self-care, for lack of a better way of putting it, I mean, it's not, going to a day spa and getting a fucking facial and getting my feet rubbed, or doing the thing where you stick your feet in with the fishies and they eat all the dead skin off your toes or whatever.
Wait, hold on. Whoa, hold on. Is that really, is that a thing?
That is
What is it called? I got to see this.
I don't have any idea what it's called, but I saw it on one of those fucking reality shows my wife likes to watch, where they did, it was like, I think it was somebody, like one of the dating shows, where they went to a spa and there were fish eating the dead skin off their feet. I know it's a thing. I know it.
Oh, okay. Foot hygiene. I'm going to say it in my Chicano accent. Gara rufa or Gara rufa are sometimes referred to as, so that's a name of the fish. So Gara rufa are sometimes referred to as a doctor fish because they eat away dead skin found on people's feet, leaving newer skin exposed. Gara rufa are native to the Middle East, where they have been used as medical treatment for people with skin diseases like psoriasis. So this is good for psoriasis.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of spas offering this on Google.
Yeah, carry strains of several infection-causing bacteria, including streptococcus.
Streptococcus, good old strep.
Streptococcus?
Yeah, it's strep throat.
Strep throat, okay.
Yeah.
Algolati, which can also cause pneumonia and others that are resistant to antibiotics. Wow, fish pedicures. The ugly side of beauty service.
Yeah, hard pass. I don't think I could bring myself to do that.
No? You wouldn't do that?
Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I always try and give everything a fair shake. I mean, I've done a lot of shit that it's like I'll never do it again, but I did it once.
Oh my God! Wait, hold on. They have pitas. I want to see pita.
Oh, I'm sure PETA loves that.
8 reasons you should never get a fish pedicure.
It's mean to the fishies. They have to eat your nasty feet juice.
Fish
weren't meant to eat toe jam.
Yeah, fish pedicures have been banned in many parts of the United States, Canada, and Europe because of the health and risks and cruelty to animals inherent in these services.
Probably going to complain, the fish are starved. That's the only reason they eat your feet.
No, they're starved, or they're going to say that they carry, like, bacteria.
Well, they do. I mean, that's just... speaking as somebody who grew up on a lake and I spent a lot of time in the water, you didn't want to go in there if you had cuts or scratches or anything. So, I mean, I can't imagine sticking your feet in a container full of fish is all that hygienic.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they do support bacteria and creepy crawlies of assorted natures.
Ah, God, I love PETA.
Yeah, they're good for a giggle, that's for sure.
They, like, I get it, but, I mean, they're just fish. Can we say that they're just fish?
Yeah, some things really,
Maybe.
I don't know. My favorite one is that billboard. It's got like pictures of all the different animals on it. It says, "Where do you draw the line?" Have you seen that one?
I've seen that
like
one.
Dog, cat, horse, cow, chicken, deer, yada yada. And it's like somebody memed that, and they were like, "Okay, regular society, apocalypse, survival," and it's got different lines drawn in on it for at what point you start eating those animals.
Gotcha. I can see that. At one point, where would Aaron eat a cat, or at one point would Aaron eat a parakeet?
I don't know. There's not much meat on a parakeet. I mean,
okay,
I would have to be pretty hard up to eat a parakeet. I mean, like,
or a gerbil or something. I mean, we can use household.
Actually, there's
pets.
certain countries in Asia that breed like guinea pigs to eat. So
I think I've seen that before too.
But yeah, I mean, realistically, what animals are acceptable as food and what ones are acceptable as pets is purely a cultural thing. It's I mean,
That's a good point.
it's
Very good point.
conditioning and circumstances. I mean, I've not necessarily proud of it, but I've had dog before. Um,
Really?
I didn't. In my defense, I didn't know what I was eating at the
By
time.
accident? Yeah, I was gonna say, was this by accident or was
yes,
this?
it actually was.
Look, Shauna, they have dog on the menu.
Yeah, no, like, hey, an authentic
They
Filipino
have-
restaurant. Let's go in there.
They have dog tacos. I want to go in there,
No,
Shauna.
this
please.
was no. I was given something by a friend of mine, and I didn't realize. Apparently, in his culture, it's when your dog dies, you eat it. So
Wait, hold on. Did you cook it, or was it already
no,
pre-cooked?
it was already
and
cooked. It was
given
like they
to
gave me
you?
like it was like a stew. And I was like,
Oh.
this is different. I never had this. What is this? And they told me, and I was kind of like,
No way. You
Ugh.
asked, and they how did that conversation go?
I said, this is different. What is it? That was literally the entire conversation.
Really?
And he was like, oh, my dog died a week ago. I'm like, yeah, I know. And he explained to me the whole cultural thing, and I was like, okay, well, I guess that's one way to keep him in the family. I mean, I usually just bury mine, but okay.
Yeah, you
And I
don't
mean-
you don't want to waste any potential stew
Yeah, well,
leftovers.
like I said, that's their culture, and I don't. I was just kind of like, okay, I'm not finishing this. Sorry, but that's my American hangups, and no, dogs are snuggly, cuddly family members. So,
But
I mean, I am a perfect example. I'm one of those dumbass people. Before I spent thousands of dollars at the vet trying to keep my dog alive. So,
do you remember what culture that he was a part of? That
yes, I do. He was okay. I'm really hoping I'm not getting this wrong. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was a Philippines thing. So I could be wrong. I really hope I'm not. I should probably look that up because I'm going to be an asshole. This was also like 25 years ago. So let's see.
there is an ongoing debate about dog meat consumption in the Philippines. Cultural traditions suggest that dogs are sacrificial animals for several reasons: to mourn the dead, to serve as a pre-battle sacrifice during tribal wars, and to appease spirits during times of tragedy. Okay. So to mourn the death.
Yeah, and that's
of
what
their
he said. It
dog.
was a mourning thing. So yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, please tell me I'm not calling my friend the wrong kind of Asian. I was gonna feel like a
Okay.
complete asshole, but
No, but it checks out.
yeah, actually, friend might be a strong word. Acquaintance is a better word for it.
There we
Because
go.
if we were friends, we'd still be in touch, and I wouldn't be second guessing myself. But like I said, this was 25 years ago, and I haven't talked to the guy since. So, well, I should say I haven't talked to him since I left Wisconsin. So,
This is crazy. So it was believed that up to 500,000 dogs were being killed every year, and this is in the Philippines. Having worked with the government to strengthen the animal welfare laws and the police to prosecute traitors, dog eating is now illegal in the Philippines. 500,000 dogs a year killed
yeah,
for
but on the
tacos
other
and
hand,
stew.
how many chickens a year are we eating? How many?
Yes.
I can actually give you a number on that one.
Give me a number.
Oh, it's in the millions, easily. At the last outbreak of bird flu, which is one of the reasons behind the supply chain crap with the chicken right now. That's why chicken is $4.99 a pound plus. When it 2 years ago it was $1.15 a pound
Because of scarcity of the animal?
Well, yeah, there was an avian flu outbreak.
Oh,
at
okay, yeah.
a couple of the major chicken farms, and they had to destroy something like 1.2 million chickens.
Yeah, that's why we had like a wing shortage, right? A few years ago?
Yeah, actually, that's still kind of going on. But,
Is it?
yeah, there's supply chain issues with that because there's only so many chickens available to process, and some of them had to be like repurposed from getting ready to be sent to slaughter into laying birds, which takes time, and then the new birds are hatched and they have to grow and yada yada yada. So, but they were only looking at like a 5-month turnaround to get back up to production, and then like a bunch of the processing facilities caught on. That's a whole nother conspiracy thing we could go down to, and all the amount of food processing facilities this year that have caught on fire or been destroyed or had planes crash into them. It's fucking ridiculous.
Before we explore that, you made a very good point, and I love that way that you pulled up. I mean, we gave the dog numbers in the Philippines, but the chicken numbers totally outweighed what the Philippines did in dogs that we did in chickens. However, you made a great point in saying that stuff like this topic is all based on culture and conditioning. Yeah. And that is something I've never really thought. I mean, I've thought about it before, but thanks for reminding me about that. And I hope that it continues like that, because it's true. It's like like a dog, cat, chicken, gerbil, parakeet, whatever. Whatever that culture values that animal to, like, then it's going to be cause, whether you have it in your room and you're hugging it and you're going to sleep with it versus if it's going to be on your plate.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, chickens are kind of dicks. So, I mean, not all of them, obviously. Some of them have better personalities, I'm sure. But the ones I had were fucking assholes. So, we had a rooster that attacked everybody in the family at one point. And, we wound up giving him to my wife's aunt and uncle that have a farm, so he could go down there and protect the hens. And he was a dick, and he went after my wife's aunt, and she hit him with a 2x4.
Whoa! Okay.
Oh yeah, no, she's not the one to screw with.
Yeah, don't fuck with me.
She's this tiny little old sweet little lady, and she's just, but you don't cross her. I won't cross her. I'm 6 feet tall, 400 pounds, and I'm intimidated by her. So no. That rooster didn't stand a chance. He ran up on her, and she's just like, what? Bloop! He turned around and went back to the barn like, okay, I ain't doing that shit again.
So you said that there were some factories that caught on fire, and it's a significant amount?
26 now, 27 this year.
What kind of factories are these?
Food processing plants.
Food processing plants.
Yeah. Butchery plants that do pork processing, cow processing, chicken processing, grain processing facilities. There have been grain fires and grain bins. Now, this kind of stuff happens every year, so it's not like, but not to the degree it's been happening since the last 18 months.
So in the last 18 months, there's been, I guess,
yeah, I mean, facilities exploding due to equipment failure. At least that's the official story, according to equipment failure. A couple of them caught on fire because single-engine planes crashed into them, and they can't tell. It's all we don't know who the. It's just so much sketch going on with this shit. Like the one of the facilities that a plane crashed into. Normally, like, we had the entire flight lists for every plane that happened on 9/11. Within a couple hours, every passenger on that place, and they identified who the hijackers were, and they had all that information because it's all registered shit. And then you get these small single-engine planes crashing into food production facilities, knocking out the capabilities of entire regions of the country to efficiently provide sustenance to their people. And they're like, oh, yeah, we don't even know where the plane came from.
How do you...
Yeah, nothing suspicious about that shit at all.
Absolutely not.
And I, like I said, I generally try to stay away from stuff that sounds too conspiracy-y. Because
okay, but what's the conspiracy in this?
The conspiracy is they're trying to It depends on how deep down the nuthatch hole you really want to go.
Let's go down the deep.
You want to go down to the
deep-
deep end? Okay.
Let's go down to
The
the
deep
deep
end
end.
of
This
this
is what we
is-
do. This is what we do on this podcast, Aaron.
Oh, yeah. No, the deep end is fun. The deep end is
Okay.
you start talking deep state, one world order, Klaus Schwab.
This
is part of their plan that they're executing in stages, and we're coming down to the points where this is to help reduce the global population and mitigate what people are eating, because if you're well nourished and healthy, you're a lot harder to manipulate and control, which is for part of their great reset where we're all going to be eating cockroaches and drinking cockroach milk and eating fucking maggots and shit. Part of the first process of making that acceptable is creating mass shortages in our current existing food so they can start introducing these lower impact, lower footprint proteins and nutrient options that society is currently not willing to accept because we have the other things we can eat.
So
And,
it's just basically eliminating nutrients and eliminating certain parts of our diet to keep us weak.
And, it's part of the whole, well, we need to reset the planet, so we have to get rid of all these cattle farms, so people need to stop eating cows so we can have them eat cockroaches instead.
Why do I feel like PETA is like at the back end of blowing up all these factory farms?
No.
I feel like PETA has something to do
with this. I don't think PETA's that smart anymore.
Is PETA part of the One World Order?
Nah,
they're
they're a tool. That's
okay.
They're for manipulating granola eating motherfuckers into doing dumb shit that somehow serves a greater purpose for the people that are in charge. Because PETA is actually a bunch of hypocrites. Like a huge portion of the animals they rescue from domestic abuse shelters and puppy mills and shit like that, they get put down. PETA is responsible for more animals being killed than they are for animals being saved. They don't want you to know that, but that's like statistically provable. You can Google it. There's tons of the animals they rescue. They're getting them out of these shit situations where people are abusing them, and then nobody's there to take them. They have no facilities in place to support them or keep them, so they put them down. But it's done humanely, and they don't suffer, and that's the important thing.
All right. PETA. There's actually a whole webpage. PETAkillsanimals.com / proof PETA kills. Let's see. I'll pick way.
Oh yeah, no, they even break down the funding on it. They track which kill shelters PETA supports financially, which ones they utilize for their rescue programs.
So dogs and cats killed by PETA. So they have all this data all the way to 1998, and I'll just read 2021. So in the year 2021, they received 2,355 cats and dogs. Transferred was about 623. Adopted 27. So 1.1% out of their 2,355 cats and dogs were adopted. 1.1%. And 1,699 were killed. So that's 70. So in perspective, so the 1% of those animals in 2021 were adopted, and the 71% were killed, and the others, the 623 were transferred. I'm pretty sure that the ones that got transferred somewhere probably died.
Yeah, they were probably transferred to kill shelters, because to the best of my knowledge, they're not real active with no-kill shelters, because no-kill shelters cost a lot of money to keep up and running.
Okay, so the worst was in 2011. In 2011, there was 1,992 animals, cats and dogs. 1.2% of that were adopted, and 95.9% were killed. That was the worst year for PETA, 2011. Yeah. But overall, all this data from 1998, 83% were of cats and dogs that they saved were killed.
Yeah, they're not. PETA really isn't about saving the animals. It's just about fucking with the people. So they say the whole go vegetarian or go vegan campaigns that they run. That's not really benefiting any of the animals. That's a whole nother soapbox we can get on. Particularly the like ridiculously hardcore vegan individuals. I mean, I have nothing against people that are vegetarian and are cool about it. Like, this is a choice and that's what I made, but I'm not going to get all in your shit for having a cheeseburger. But like particularly the preachy ones that get really ridiculously like, oh well, that's murder and this and that and the other. Well, here, let's have a conversation. You want to talk about murder? Let's talk about murder. You know how many animals are killed in the farming process to produce the grains and soy that you're eating exclusively? Because the bigger these factory farms get to provide all the vegetables for the vegans and the vegetarians, the more indigenous animals are slaughtered because like moles and voles and ground squirrels, and they not only lose their habitat to farming, but they are actively killed by the farmers to prevent crop destruction. Plus the planting, reaping, and tilling process churns the ground up, destroys their habitats, kills them in the ground, and they become fertilizer. So, it's if you're using that to get on my shit about eating a cheeseburger, particularly since, most of those farmers, especially if you go to like small family type farms, are much more concerned about the health and well-being of those animals than anybody that's out there protesting about it. Because they have a vested interest in keeping them healthy and well taken care of. And even up to the point of the slaughtering process, because they keep the animals as calm as they possibly can, right? And they don't let them see it coming. Because it actually makes a difference in the quality and texture and consistency and taste of the meat. Because,
I heard that.
Yeah, if the animal that you're dealing with is all stressed out and worked up and freaking out right before they kill it, there's all kinds of like cortisol and hormones dumped into the bloodstream from panic, and it changes the taste and quality of the meat. Now, on the other hand, if like halal butchering, which is it's the Muslim Middle Eastern processes for, it's kind of like kosher for the Jews. It's more about cleanliness and process than it is about like, it's based in religion, but it's how you go about doing things. And things that are killed in a halal manner are generally very calm when they're killed. It's done very professionally, very considerately. They don't panic them, they don't spook them, and they don't see it coming. And it's much better quality product. I mean, from a culinary standpoint, it's much better product. So
the kosher and halal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, kosher is all about cleanliness. Halal is also all about cleanliness, but it extends beyond just like preparation and into the actual care and treatment of the animals right up to the point of slaughter. So
yeah. Okay.
So it sets much stricter guidelines than your average factory farm, But yeah. And like I said, those are the things I usually like to say to irritate the. Like I said, if you're cool about it, I'll leave you alone. I think probably 75% of my family at this point is vegetarian or vegan, and
that's a high percent. Well, actually, it's become very popular in the past couple of years.
Yeah, well, I have one of my.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more, I guess, vegetarian products, and even in different restaurants, the menu has expanded.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do today than it was 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
But in the case of my family, like on my mom's side of the family, we are predisposed to diabetes. Now, contrary to me being a big fat fuck, all of my uncles on my mom's side of the family are like tall and skinny, right? They're not the guys you look at and go, yeah, I bet you he's type 2. So, his blood type is gravy. Get that motherfucker. It's disgusting.
Get him.
Put the
Oh,
donut
it's
down,
hilarious.
fatty. Go for a walk. But no, I mean, we just have a genetic predisposition to diabetes. Like, my grandmother was not overweight at all, and she was super diabetic. Just we have poor pancreases, I guess. I don't know. And
Pancreas.
now, oddly enough, I avoided being diagnosed as diabetic until I was 43. So I don't know how that worked because like everybody else in my family was diabetic at like 30. But all of my uncles, like I said, all these tall, skinny dudes were diagnosed with diabetes, and one of my cousins and her husband, he's a doctor of physical therapy and all this other stuff. He started doing veganism for something he was having medical issues with, and all his blood work got like super ultra normalized, and it was very productive for him. And he's very strict about it, and he got all of my uncles started on it to help regulate their diabetes, and
Okay.
they are all now back
believe
into
it.
like normal
Yeah.
A1C ratios and all this other stuff. They just have to be careful about what they eat, and they're very selective and blah, 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 blah. And,
I
they
believe
start
it.
talking to me about that, and I'm like, you do realize with what I do for a living, that will never, ever fucking happen, right?
And that was gonna be my next point, is that they probably can't cook as half as good as Aaron can, right?
Probably not. Most of them never really were too hot shakes with the kitchen stuff. One of my uncles is a really good cook, but at least on that side of the family. On the other side of the family, like we all cook on my dad's side of the family, but on my mom's
Aaron,
side of the
how-
family, not so much.
Aaron, how
And-
long have you been a chef for?
Been a chef since my first chef job, 22 years.
Okay.
I've been in service industry for about 27 though, because I started out in kitchens when I was like 14. So
Okay. So
and
most of your experiences in back of house.
oh yeah, I mean I did wait tables, I bartended, I bounced,
Mhm.
but I've been in hospitality one factor or another pretty much my entire life. There was a little 3-year hiatus where I tried doing something else, but that didn't wind up sticking. So
What was your other 3-year hiatus doing?
network, IT, and web development.
Oh, okay. That's like way on the other side of
Yeah,
hospitality.
and then a couple of my friends and I, that we were all kind of like computer geeky in high school, and we were kind of atypical though, because we weren't like, if you look at like the '90s version of a computer geek, because this was in the '90s, then there was all like guys living in their mom's basement with thick glasses and all this other shit. We were all student athletes in high school of one factor or another. Like I played football. My two business partners were cross country runners. We had girlfriends and dated and went to parties and all this other shit. But we also were all really into computers as kind of a hobby. And we decided to start a business after high school instead of like fucking around and going to college and working for somebody else. And so I did that for about a year, and we had a falling out. And I parted ways with the company. And the company still exists to this day, so 25 years later, it's still going strong. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
it worked out for them, so good for them. I try not to dwell on it. But yeah, so after that, I kind of floated around for about a year and a half, just doing other shit, getting a job, pay the bills, pay my rent. And then I wound up back in a kitchen and just stayed there.
So over the decades of your experience in hospitality, have you seen any change in hospitality, just in general, workforce?
Oh yeah,
staff?
no, I've seen tons of changes, but certain core elements don't change really. I mean,
Okay. Like, and what are the core elements?
you have to be a little fucked up to try and do this for a living for your entire life. That is one of the core elements. Everybody in this business is a little cracked, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're all a little off.
Yeah, it takes a certain individual to work in that type of environment.
Yeah, I mean, the, we work when everybody else is playing. We play when everybody else is working. We party hard. We play hard. We go deep. Kitchens can be some of the most just abusive. Like, I say this, and one of the things I've seen change over the years that the rest of the world has gone way on, and service industries going in that direction, but not. It's like kicking and screaming. Is there's there's no HR in your average kitchen. I mean, yes, there's HR and it exists, but you are going to talk about everyone's, everything. You are going to say shit that where it sounds like you should be fighting within the next couple breaths, And when you're on the, particularly in restaurants, you're on the line, you're behind the gun, everything's got to come out, everything's got to be coordinated, everything's got to be. It's a really high pressure situation, and people are going to be cussing each other out. They're going to be threatening each other. They're going to be, screaming and yelling and talking shit about everything from, your wife, your kids, your mom, your clothes, your shoes, your sister, and everything you're going to do to her after you get off of work, and it, like I said, to someone who's not used to dealing with that, you'll come in there and you think an all-out war is going to break out in 10 minutes, and the pranks and the harassment and all this other shit, and it's just normal for us. Because then once the shift's over, we're all go out and grab beers and go out back and have a cigarette or whatever and decompress, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're all laughing and having a good time. And I always tell people, like, go watch Waiting. That's a pretty accurate snapshot of what goes on in most fucked up restaurants. And yes, those are the people that they're a little wired wrong, but on the other hand, there's ridiculous amounts of loyalty in a lot of those places. Not always, but as you find a crew you like, you stick with them, and they become your family more or less.
Yeah, that's what also always fascinates me. Like, that environment is only susceptible to a certain personality, but you bond. You bond and you create these relationships in that type of environment because you're as fucked up as I am, and we can be friends and we can be family because of that.
Yeah, no, you can look at like my wedding pictures. There's like 4 chefs in the wedding picture, and these are guys that I met through work and school, and I mean they're in my family now, and a couple have passed on, and God rest them, but they're my people.
Yeah, so you describe the type of person that works there, but what are some of the changes that you've seen over the years?
In terms of like nutritional trends, dietary trends, there's
anything that's significant in hospitality.
I mean, a lot of things, people are more nutritionally conscious nowadays. Your average consumer is better informed, which is not always a good thing because the information isn't always accurate or right. Due to a lot of these television shows, Top Chef, Next Chef, yada, 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 whatever. A lot of people have misconceptions about how easy certain things are to do. I mean, cooking is one of those things, anybody can do it, but that doesn't mean everybody can do it well. And there's a reason they call it culinary art, because there is a certain degree of skill and natural talent that you have to be successful at it. Otherwise, you're just a technician. You can be trained all the stuff, all the concepts in the world, but if you can't properly execute them, and if you don't have that flair for it, you're not gonna be successful. You're just gonna be, you can be technically proficient and still be a terrible fucking cook. And it doesn't matter how many techniques if you can't, do them properly and with the right flair and the right balance and the right taste but yeah, so trends come, trends go. Micro gastronomy was huge for a while, or molecular gastronomy was huge for a while.
And what is that?
Molecular gastronomy is
molecular gastronomy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the whole concept behind it. It's a really neat concept. It's more like incorporating science into food as art. And
Okay.
so a lot
Pretty
of it
cool.
had to do doing things like, deconstructed dishes where, like, see, you're doing a deconstructed pot pie, and instead of a pot pie, you have like some stewed chicken meat, and then it's layered with, slices of potato and slices of carrots, and it's presented all in separate pieces. And another big thing with it is like changing textures and preserving flavors. So making like mousses and foams and froths and little quenelles of vegetable mousses and meat mousses, and you're altering textures from what the norm is and what the expectation is. And there's a lot of it's very involved, very complicated. Doing like, preparing dishes using liquid nitrogen and and like nitrous cartridges to make foams, and just and it's really cool in concept, and it's a lot of the shit you would see in like places where you're spending like $500 a person on dinner,
Okay.
But and you get a plate and it has like a half an ounce of protein and like 3 little dollops of sauce on it, and it looks really pretty. And it's like, this is $150. Like, what the fuck? This is not even an appetizer. There's not enough on this plate to wet my mouth. But it looks really cool, and it's a really involved process, and it involves a lot of really specialized talent and skill and knowledge to make this little tiny thing. And
Yeah, I'm googling some of this stuff right now, and it's
oh,
pretty
and
well.
like I said, there's some really cool shit involved in this process, but I'm really glad it never caught on to the extent people thought it was going to.
Molecular gastronomy includes the study of how different cooking temperatures affect eggs. their their viscosity, surface tension, and different ways of introducing air into them.
Yes, that's for making foams.
Okay.
I hate foams.
Molecular gastronomy is a scientific approach of nutrition from primarily the perspective of chemistry. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it's very involved. It's like I said, the people who were behind this, they came up with a lot of really cool shit, but none of it's practical. So, so that trend kind of fell by the wayside in a lot of ways because, again, unless you're in a position where you can spend hundreds of dollars on a meal, you're not going to be you're not going to get that. John Q. Public's not going to go out to fucking Chili's and order a molecular gastronomy menu on a Tuesday night,
Dude, that's awesome. This is thank you for telling me this word, because I'm going to be throwing this every time I go to fucking Applebee's. I'm going to ask the server, "Hey, do you have what's on your molecular gastronomy menu for this evening? Please do tell."
Well, and that's the other thing, too, is with a lot of the molecular gastronomy setups and restaurants that were like featuring that sort of stuff, you didn't get it to go in there in order. The menu was established before you showed up. This is what it's going to be. Here's the chef's menu. It's 5 courses. You're going to get a soup course, your salad course, your entree, your dessert, your aperitif, your palate cleansers, and it's all planned out ahead of time. So you're basically just agreeing to come in, pay the $500, and eat whatever they put in front of you. Gotcha. And it's an experience, and they're going to bring you cocktails, and you're going to be given smoked cocktails, and
all right.
That's actually one of the really cool things that came out of this trend was they make like small portable smoker things that it's a little glass lid, and you can like set it over some meat, and you put a couple wood chips in it, and you pull the trigger, and it's like it force airs the smoke onto the meat so you can smoke it right before it goes to the table.
Ooh,
you
that's
disconnect
pretty cool.
the machine, you take it out with the lid on there, you lift the lid off, and all the smoke comes out. And like I said, some of the stuff's really cool. It's just not practical at all.
Not practical. Not practical.
But it's not about
in your everyday
practicality.
kitchen.
It's about being really fucking cool.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So you're saying like trends? There's different trends that come in and out of
trends come, trends
cooking.
Go. Biggest actual like more permanent shift is, again, it goes back to people are better educated now in terms of nutritional value of things. Like people have finally started to realize that you don't need to cook the living shit out of everything for it to be healthy or nutritional. It's actually better to cook things less. So, ordering your steak medium rare is not going to give you fucking parasites because we don't live in a third world country. We have food safety standards that prevent that things from happening. So you can eat something that hasn't been cooked until it looks like charcoal. And, don't overcook your vegetables. Don't eat canned vegetables if you can help it, because as a general rule, the canning process puts all kinds of sodium in there and leaches out a lot of the minerals and nutrients that you're eating vegetables for. So you think you're eating healthy because you're eating, a can of asparagus or whatever, but you're actually not. You're just kind of putting fuel in that doesn't hold a lot of nutritional value. It's a lot of empty calories and a lot of sodium in most of that stuff, just due to the canning process. So, yeah, nutritionally, the expectation in the bar has moved a lot. Even in the couple of decades I've been doing this, there have been some really significant shifts, and that has to do with public knowledge, common understanding, and a lot of the old school people dying. So,
Oh yeah,
that I mean, it sounds
definitely a
callous to put it
factor
like
in that.
but
Yeah.
that is a very significant contributing factor. The way my grandparents ate, and they thought they were eating healthy and doing well. It's like I hated it as a kid. I hate it still as an adult. I mean, I have certain comfort foods like my grandparents used to have all the time that I still eat, even though I know they're not good for me. Like my grandmother's mashed potatoes recipe is fucking to die for. In some cases, literally, because there's a reason my grandpa had three bypasses,
Wow.
But because they're made with real butter and potatoes and heavy cream and mayonnaise and fucking garlic, and they're delicious, and a half a cup of salt. But oh my god, they're so good. I mean,
Gotta have that salt in there.
Yeah, you eat a quarter cup of these mashed potatoes, and you might as well just ask for a stint with them. But they're so good.
Mashed potatoes so good it comes with the stint. Comes with a coupon to go get your triple bypass.
Exactly. But but on the other side of that coin too, I've seen a lot of things where I'm just I kind of just give them like that head shake, just like, are you fucking kidding me? Because the whole we are now knowledgeable about what's healthy and we know what's good has had pretty much everything, they've way oversold it and gone way past what is sane even. And I saw something the other day that said plant-based mashed potatoes, and I looked at it and I went, no shit.
I think a potato is a part of a plant, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, plant-based. That was the selling
That's
point
awesome.
on this container
That is
of
great.
pre-made mashed potatoes.
That is beautiful.
Plant-based mashed potatoes.
I'm gonna go buy some plant-based asparagus.
Yeah,
Later on
exactly. I'm
tonight
like,
for
are
dinner.
you fucking kidding me? Now, I did, upon further research, I did pick it up and read the ingredients because I just had to fucking know. I was like,
You have
okay,
to. You have
I
to.
have to know.
Yeah.
It's plant-based. Okay, what makes it plant-based? Yeah, so they had soy milk in it, and
Okay. So it was that
and it was made with vegetable oil instead of butter. So I'm like, yeah, I bet this tastes bland as fuck.
So it was like that box that you just add water to and just stir,
no, these
right?
were pre-made mashed potatoes.
Oh, they're pre-made.
Yeah,
Okay.
just refrigerated.
Oh, okay.
So you just pop in the microwave and heat them up.
Mm.
But I saw that and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? If somebody has to tell you that mashed potatoes are plant-based, and it didn't say they weren't vegetarian. They did have milk powder in the ingredients.
It probably also had a label on the box that says "Do not eat."
Yeah, probably
on the box. Yeah, do not eat the box.
Do not eat the box. The box is unwrap the food before eating. Remove film before consuming. No shit.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you have
I've
to.
said it so many times. We just need to take the warning labels off everything and let nature run its course.
Absolutely. And
That's a little callous, maybe, but Fuck them. I said it for a reason. Some of these people really, I mean, it's like, it used to be like my parents would say, well, if everybody jumped off a bridge, would you jump with them? Now what I think we need to do is we need to put out like a PSA that says, hey, everybody, go jump off a bridge. And then just, anybody that's actually going to do it, fuck them good.
Yeah, let them do it.
If you think this is a good idea, maybe you should take your kids and your family with you. I mean, just unless they're smart enough to go, no, Daddy, that's stupid. Yeah, no, then your kids are okay. But if you're going to do it just because somebody got on TV and said, hey, you know what? If everybody goes out and jumps off a bridge today, it's going to have this cool effect where it's not going to hurt. Today only, 3 to 5.
Aaron, thanks, man, for stopping by and talking with me. Go ahead and tell us where we can find I Had to Say It podcast and plug in whatever you want.
Okay, well, thank you for having me, Gill. Again, it's always a pleasure when we get to, do this stuff and chitter-chatter for a couple hours. It makes me happy. It makes me feel good. And at some point, I'm going to get out there and we're going to do this in person. Preferably
Absolutely.
over cocktails.
We're doing it. Yes, we should.
Yeah. I'm
like
working
that
on
idea.
it. I'm trying to convince work to start putting me in the field for certain things. So I might actually get to go out there on a work-related thing, which would be awesome because then we'll have
Let me know.
cocktails and expense it.
Oh, yeah. Let me know. We'll
But
do it.
yes, I can be found at easiest way to do it is ihadtosayitpodcast.com. That's ihadtosayitpodcast.com. There are links to all the relevant stuff, all the social media stuff, the merch, the Patreon, which I don't know how much longer that's going to be there. I am a little... Have you heard what's going on with Patreon?
I have not, no. What's going on?
They recently let go several of their security people, their online security people. And shortly after that happened, there was a posting on Glassdoor saying that basically if you work here, upper management's going to tell you to ignore people that are selling like inappropriate child-related materials
Whoa.
through Patreon unless you are given a court order. And so that was one accusation. And then there's a whole bunch of reviews where it's like, I reported these people that are selling graphic pictures of children on here and blah, 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 and they didn't do anything about it. So apparently they're, according to some people now, I haven't done enough digging to find out how accurate it is, but apparently Patreon's upper management is very supportive of MAP individuals, which I hate that term because a fucking pedophile is a fucking pedophile. I don't want to sugarcoat it and make it sound like something nice or understandable. That's like, oh, this is no.
He's a map person.
I'm a map
is what
person.
he is.
No,
Yeah.
You're a kitty diddler and kitty diddler.
And tell us what a map person is.
MAP person is the acronym they're trying to put in for minor attracted person, which they're trying to somehow differentiate from creepy pedos that go around and molest children. I don't know if the justification is, oh no, we're just attracted to them. We don't actually act on it. I don't care. You're creepy and you need help. If you go get the help and you're no longer a minor attracted person, good for you. If you touch little kids into the shredder, you go. Although I can't really say that anymore. I have fallen out of love with the chipper shredder because I found a new love. I found this fantastic piece of machinery that they have in junkyards and scrapyards that shreds steel like it's fucking warm butter, and they are approximately $35,000 to buy a used one. So I'm setting up a GoFundMe to buy one for the Illinois chapter of Get the Fuck Away from Our Kids. Links to that will be on the website. As soon as I can find a crowdfunding company willing to co-sign my Get the Fuck Away from Our Kids organization.
We could put that in the link in the show description, along with all your other links. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, like I said, just, I had to say it podcast.com. There's a like contacts / social media page that has all my links. There's a page that has stuff about all the shows I've interacted with over the last couple of years, including the Mindbuzz.
All right.
And there's a contact form. There's a phone number. You can actually call me and leave me voicemail messages. I really wish somebody would. I've only had like 3 phone calls since I set the phone number up. And one of them was actually for me, and the other 2 were trying to sell me shit. So apparently they were trying to reach me about the extended warranty for my car. And somebody wanted to know if I wanted solar panels.
All right.
But yeah, so that is the link. I am available on all the major podcast platforms. Google, Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify. Whatever random ass RSS feed you want to use. Any podcatcher, you just say I had to say it pod, and it'll come up.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, and you're good. Got any more?
No, I'm done for now.
I'm excited about that GoFundMe account. We can put the link in the show description, along with all the other stuff that Aaron just described. That was it.
All right.
Thanks, Aaron, for stopping by.
Man. Thanks for letting me burn up all your hours.
And don't mention it, pal. We got to do this in person. Thanks for listening. Thank you guys on YouTube for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. You're watching it, and I know you are. Just subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit that bell.
As you can see why mine is audio only,
The Mindbuzz Podcast.
I love you all. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.